Hello and welcome to our Stock Supply website editing tutorial. Today I'm going to walk you through some of the basics of editing and then we'll get into some detailed edits. To start out, the way I typically run edits is I will run one browser in actually Chrome for viewing in non-admin mode, and then I'll run another browser, in this case Safari, for the editing because there's slight differences. Starting with the home page, when you first log in, what you're going to have is you're going to have these key areas for editing, and typically we're going to do a lot of our editing in Pages. And so starting out with the home page, you'll see that these are index pages indicated by these little icons there, and you can roll out, and these are pages within an index page. And then when you mouse over a particular section, and in this case we're at the home page and shows that we're highlighted there. And if I mouse over here, I can see that I can edit the hero, and there's the hero right there. If I scroll down, I can hit edit here, and this is the intro, and that corresponds with there, and so on and so forth. And so these are basic pages. You can edit it in different ways. Starting with the top, and of course this is the navigation. The navigation is here in the primary. It's up there. We're not using a secondary. Not linked is for stuff that we want to be able to get to, but really not have up here. So starting with the top one, it's pretty easy. You can click edit. Within a section, you can add all kinds of different things. In this case, we have this as an image, and all the heroes kind of have this. This is an image on top of this image in the back. We can have some text over here. If I cancel out of edit mode and I go to this banner or settings, either one, I can see that that image that we're seeing behind it is set up as a banner. In the settings mode, I have page title, navigation title, the URL slug if I wanted to get to that directly. But essentially, that's how that works. Now, if I come into an edit mode, there I can see I've got text. And when you see text like that, you can edit anything you need to. Just start typing. You will see some differences in color when in edit mode, like in this case. But that's all you do. You just type in whatever you need to, and then you hit save, and you're all set. And so when I hit edit here, and let's say I want to edit these, it's a little bit different. This is called a summary block. And so if I hit edit on this summary block, because I want to change something here, what I'll notice is that where in text I can just click and edit, what this is showing me is that the first tab shows me that I'm in content, and the content is highlighting as product icons. It's a gallery of product icons. I can also click on layout to change different things, width and whatnot. Typically you're not going to mess with that kind of thing. The most important thing is to find out where this content is coming from. So if I cancel that and then I go back, look for the product icons based on what we saw, and that's right here, then I can click on here. And so this is, like I said, it's a different type of page. There's our product icons that are showing up. And if I click on the gear for one of them, I can change the image. I can have, there's the title, and that's it. So if I wanted to change here, so that's where that title fasteners is coming from. If I close that and go to another one and hit that, safety PPE, that's how that's changed. If we want to change the image, we would remove the image and upload a new image. But it's pretty straightforward. We're not using any descriptions there. If we did, and we pop those in there, those descriptions would show up underneath. And that's what that is. That's how you edit summaries whenever you encounter them on a page. And so let's see if I go back to our home page here and click on it. There we are, we're back here. There's our summary. If I click back here to edit, and again, that's a summary, we've got a different situation here, which is a button, right? And again, the way that this works is you can add any type of block element that you want. So if I click on those little handles there, I can add a text block, I can add all kinds of things. So that's how that works. In this case, we have a button. And to edit a button, you just click on edit there. Shop products is the text that's showing up. Click through URL means this is where we want to go when we click on that button. And so you can click on there, and you can go to a page. And when you're going to a page, when you click on it, these are all different pages in the site. If I want to go to like a page off the site, if I click web address, I can pop something in, just off site, wherever we want. You can have it open in a new window. If I want it to be an email, a phone, etc., a file. If I click on a file, what I can do is I can upload a file, or I can click any file that's already up there, and that will open a file. And that's how that works. So I'm going to close that and cancel that edit, but that's how buttons work. What you're seeing is in these sections here, you're also seeing some of these colors, right? So this is kind of like this dark gray background, and the way that works is any of these sections, so this is, let's say this is the product section. If I click on the gear, I'm getting to the general settings for that particular sections within the content section. And we have this thing that's called a URL slug, which is the URL to get to that. So each one of these are a page, and if I wanted to go specifically to that page, this is the URL slug. Now we have some customizations, and the way those customizations work is that you'll see this D-CLR, which means dynamic color. And it's a little script we wrote to be able to color different sections that is not part of the Squarespace general editing. And the way that works is that whenever it encounters a D- color, the first 6 characters are going to represent a color, and in this case the 3030. So what I'm referencing here is the Figma or graphic design file that we've used to design the site, and there's a page called colors, and this is these are the different colors we're working with. So there's our dark gray mineshaft 3030. Trinidad is that orange rust color, DA 4607, and so on and so forth. And so if I go back to here, what we wanted to do is so it's background, copy color, and then it's any link color. In this case, we're saying make the background of this page or this section here, that dark gray, make any copy white and any links white. If we want those links to be orange, we would put in that color. And then there's some other things like this sum no link, which means summary no link. And what that does is that disables the standard default Squarespace option, so that if these were images in a gallery, that would click and just open that. So that's just another little trick. Little details you don't really need to worry about, but just giving you a background of how that stuff works. All right, continuing on, here is another section of this page, and this is the technical thread. So again, I want to edit this, and if I hit edit, I can just click here and I can start editing. Now notice that this is a text block, and in this text block, this is set to a heading 2. So we could change this if we wanted to heading 3, and you'll see how it changes. But this is a heading 2. And then this is an image to get that kind of look. If we want to put text caption, you can see how that goes. Some more text, and then another button. And so this is pretty straightforward stuff. And then these are news items. So let's say we wanted to edit this. And so I go back here and I see, oh, it's another summary block. So it's the same kind of story as the icons, but it's a little bit different in the sense we've got some titles and short descriptions and read more. And so if I edit this, again, what we're doing here is we're saying, oh, this is coming from the news. And if I go to layout, this is kind of telling us, oh, this is the aspect ratio of the images. It's a widescreen. You can change different sizes if you want. That's changing the aspect ratio of the images when you change this. Column width is, you probably don't want to mess with any of this, but it kind of just shows you how the layout is kind of laying out this look. And then display, what it's doing is that down here, it's saying category filter. And what that says is show us any stories within the news that are news. And now that'll make sense in a moment when I show you, because we're actually filtering some of the news items. So the news is a little bit different. It's a summary of blog items. That's what this little A indicates, that this is a blog type of content. And if I click on that, here are a bunch of news stories. And typically it's in order of when it was published, and you can see those dates. And here again is kind of like all the news items. And so if I go to a news item here, and I can click on it here, and then once I'm in there, I can edit this and I can edit the content. But the other thing I can do is I can go to different options, right? So within this post here, I can see that I've got categories, and this is how we're filtering. So if I go and cancel out of this and go somewhere down here and I hit edit. So this one is actually a category of case studies. And so we can categorize or tag. In this case, we're categorizing all the items by either news or case studies. And if you wanted to change it, you can see there's our 2, or you can create new categories. But for now, we are creating news items of either case studies or news, and then we're filtering them in a specific way. And that's it. And you can edit those direct stories. And if I click and edit, as say there, this one has an image and these have text, and you can just click and change those text. This is a little bit different. This is a quote. You can see how that's showing up there. If I want to edit this quote, just go in and change the quote and who the source is. If I wanted to edit, say, this image that's here, I can edit this image. Remove this image and put a new one up. This is a really cool feature in the sense that it's a focal point and you can move it around. And what that means is that when, and this is kind of a cool feature of Squarespace, is that up here, if you're in edit mode, what I can do is I can look at it in kind of tablet mode or mobile mode. And what happens is that when the responsiveness of the site changes, some images will have to crop in certain ways to fit. And that little focal point in the image option that I had shown you will help decide how that, now in this case, by default, we're going to crop, the left edges to keep everything center. But let's say I wanted to keep this thing always in view, then it would crop more to the right, so that's always in view. So that focal point, you're going to see that a lot in images. And if the image isn't kind of aligning right when you look at it, mess around with that focal point, and that's how that works. So what we covered is how this news is in there. That's another button. And then we've got this other section. So if I click edit, right here, if I click on there, I see that this is a heading 2. But then this, as you can see as I'm mousing over, this is another text block. And when I click on this text block, it's actually adding a carriage return. So let me hit that back. If I click on here, you can see that it's showing that this is a link, right? And right now these are dummy links. This one, on the other hand, is actual file. And by file, what I'm saying is if I edit this, I can see that it's, and then I click on this gear, I can see that this is set to go to a file and it's checked off to go to this file. Now let's say I wanted to, I'm ready to make this a file. If I, again, hit the backspace to get back up, and then highlight that, edit that. Now we don't want it to be a link anymore. We want it to go to a file. I'm going to hit a file here. I'm going to click here, select a file, and then once I upload that file, it'll show up here, and then I need to check it off. That's an important step that I often forget. So be sure you check that off. And then if you want it to open to a new window, you just click on that, and then you hit save. And then you have to remember to hit, and you can see that there's the new file, and you have to remember to hit apply, right? And then if I hit save here, that will be the new file that's shown up. So actually, let's do that. When I mouse over, I can see down here in the bottom left here, when I mouse over, I can see that that is now attached. See down there? Right, if you look down there, you can see that that is now attached to the new file. When I open it opens up in a new window. And that's it. That's how we edit that. So if I want to go back and change that, I can click on here, I can edit that. And in this case, I'm going to put this back to a link and hit apply and hit save. And that's it. That's how we edit files. Again, you may find out that you'll screw something up, and because it can be a little bit confusing sometimes, or the edit doesn't work just right. Just cancel that out and try it again. Moving on, we're going to scroll down to this next section. Now this is so this is showing testimonials, and we're at our last section of the page here. So I'm going to hit edit, and then here it's another summary. So we've seen this before, and if I click edit and scroll down in the content tab, I'm going to find it's testimonials, but it's part of a product. So what that means is that there's another type of content type. Let's cancel that, and let's go find that product. And there it is, testimonials. So, and it's showing by a $sign here, and that's the product type of content. So it's similar to a blog, similar to a gallery, all of which you can turn into a summary. But there's some specific features within the product type. It's easy to move things around and set the order and see kind of whether there's images. So there's just different things. Now in this case, I'm showing that we've got some testimonials in here that are currently hidden. But if you want to edit a particular testimonial, what you're going to do is you're going to click, and what we're doing is that we are using the source of the testimonial in the top here, and we're actually using the testimony in the bottom. So if you want to change some of these, you can do that. We have some categorization and filtering, so this is what we want to do on the home page. And then we can also duplicate this. And this is a nice feature of all of the content, or the majority of the content, in a sense that things are set up in a particular way with tags and things in that. And just duplicate it and then re-edit it so that way you know that it's kind of all set up the way it was originally set. And in this case, we don't need to worry about any of these tabs. It's just that we'll edit this one or duplicate it, or if we want to double click here and say, well, this one's hidden, we can click on here and we can make it visible, and that will turn that one on. And again, that one's set to home. This one has a category of products. So if we wanted to, on the products page, and we want to show testimonials that of this category, that's how we set that category. And currently we only have 2 different categories. And it looks like I made a mistake in typed in 2 different categories of the same name, so we'd have to fix that. But essentially you can create categories or set up categories, and then you use the summary tool to filter that out. Okay, moving back to the pages. And now again, you can also navigate from within here. And if we want to click on a navigation, we can go to About. And this follows the same kind of design. If we hit Edit here on this, we're talking about the hero. This is an image. There's a background image. If you want to edit that background image, you can see how that, you can remove the image and put a new image up. But if we scroll down right here, Edit, and this is a nice easy one, and that you just click and you type. And then when you're done typing, you just hit save, and that change is done. And a lot of times when you've made that change, you go over to your other browser and just reload that page and make sure everything's looking the way you want it to look. So scrolling through. So here's another section that I want to quickly show you how this works. So again, we hit who we are. We can click in here and change our text, and look, it's another summary. So same process. This is now the staff content. Let's go find staff. Now this is indicated as a gallery, which is primarily image driven. Here are all our staff images. So if we want to just change the order of people, you just change the order just like that. Done. You don't really have to save anything in that regard, but that changes the order. This one is, let's say this gentleman has left. All you got to do is click on that gear, and you have an option down here of status. This is published. If I click on this, I can change it to draft, and that will hide it. That's what those are. So that's how you turn something off or on. Basically hit that gear, and there's your title. And then here is your description. Notice how this is bolded. And so if you want to change any descriptions, you do that there. Going back here, the way we're doing it is that we have the title in a certain size, and it's the rust color. And then we're also coloring anything that's in bold. So if you put this bold content anywhere else in the content, it's going to do that to it. So that's how we're kind of getting that look, is that we've got a custom style for anything bold. So we typically are just going to keep, that first position and whatnot as bold, and then just change it. Change whatever content you want to change, and change whatever status if you want this on or off, and hit save. So if I make some changes here, I see that I can save this, hit save, and you can go back here and see those changes. In that case, we had a couple of spaces at the end just for testing. So that's how we edit our staff. So if I go back to pages here, so we were in the About section, so I'll click back over to here, scroll through our About. So that's our staff. Locations. So the way that locations work, it's a little bit different. So let's say, so I can see that I'm going to edit locations. And so up here in the locations, I can, I edit the text the way I normally do. And then in here, what I'm going to see is it's code. So this is a bit different. And when I edit code, I've got a bunch of custom code. So this is typically something you're not going to mess with, because this is what gets our special locations, which is kind of calling an Excel file. And I'll give you a nice demo on that later. And then down in here in the footer, since we're there, I'm going to edit this. So let's talk a little bit about editing the footer. So you've got, when you're in the footer, you've got top blocks, and then there's some, you'll see some middle and lower blocks, which you're not using, but we are using the top block. So if I hit edit, you'll notice that we've got some text, we've got an image here, we've got some text here, and we've got a spacer. Sometimes it can be hard to see, but that's how we're laying all this out. So if you want to change anything, you just click and edit it and save. Over here, this is just as kind of a redo on the navigation. So if I click on there, I can see that I'm going to the About. If I click on here, value-added services, same kind of linking. Here we don't have links yet because we're going to push those links over to the in SQL. And then over here, it's code again. And the reason why it's code is because locations is content is being fed via code. So in this situation, you're going to not mess with any of this, but you can change this pretty easily and change that. And that's kind of the footer. And when you make those changes, that's going to happen on every single page. All right, now moving on, we're in the footer. So let's go over to the products page here. There's our banner, hero. Again, this is text. And then you probably guessed it. It's a summary block. Same thing. These are just images and content and links designed to go over to the in SQL. So that's what that is. Another button, pretty straightforward. So value-added services, text, right? Straightforward. Change whatever you want. Service categories. Again, that's a summary block, so no need to go over that. But below that, actually, we should edit that a little bit. So this is a summary block, right? And then these are just text blocks with spacers helping to set that out. And so really easy to change. We've got this text, and the way that you want to edit this, if you want to add a new one, let's say, is you want to copy the whole thing like that, because this is a style, just a slightly custom style, so you need to copy an existing one, hit paste, and then we'll center this, and we'll call this a new service, and that's what keeps that bullet there. And then if we hit, actually, I'm holding shift down and carriage return. So shift and carriage return. So I put the new one in, get it to the end of that line, hold shift and carriage return as opposed to a regular carriage return, and that gives us a shorter line break there. We have our bullet, hit save, go back and look at it, and there's our new service. So important is to copy an existing one, paste it, center it, carriage return for a new line. Okay, moving on to the news and stories. So this is a featured story, and you're going to see that this is again another summary block and how this works. And we're going to feature that in another advanced edit. So I'm going to cancel that. And then here, what we've got is if we hit edit, we're going to see this is also another summary block. Now this one is different in the sense that when you're in edit mode, you're seeing the content as a summary block like you normally do. But there's a special script that's changing it into this quick kind of little filtering tool. And so this is just when you're not in admin mode. If you're in regular admin mode, you're going to see just your typical summary block. And so again, you don't really mess with this in any kind of a way, but that just shows you kind of how that editing works on that page and how you get to that. So locations, this is going to be another advanced edit. You can edit the text up here. So if you edit this and you click on here, you can edit this text. If you hear that if you edit that here, you're going to see that that's code. So you're really not going to mess with that. Now here is another section on that page. And if I edit this, this is general text, but this is a form block. And so if I hit edit, this is a new type of block, and we can set up, we can add different form fields. Over here in storage, we set our email here. And then we'll set it up to go to a Google Drive so that we have a copy there. And then there's some advanced steps. But basically, this is just your general form, and that's how that works. Custom components. So hero, basic text, another basic text, right? So that's all easy to edit. Here's some quotes. Let's go back here. Okay, so we're not showing any quotes. Let's go see why. So if I hit summary, and I go to, the content is coming from testimonials. And if I go to display, I'm filtering by products. And if you recall, our products were turned off, right? We didn't have any, they were hidden. So that's why we're not showing any there. If we take this category filter off, we'll get the only one that we have open, right? So that's how that works. So we need to turn some of those on for those to show up. So I'll just cancel that. But something I also want to show you that's really important is that this is the custom components. Let's say we just want to turn this off. Go to this gear, enable page, hit save. And now that section, you can see its grade is not showing. And if we reload this page, right? That's how we can turn a section off. And if we need to get to it, all we got to do is click on this gear, re-enable that page, and that'll show up. That's how we can edit that. And if you really wanted to, you could also move the order. Let's say I wanted the testimonials to go above, we just do that. And that's kind of a nice feature. So you can see how that changed the order of that. So I'll put that back. But this is a nice feature because sometimes we can, we can create new sections and test some things and turn them on and off. But that's it. So that's a quick overview. That's everything. That's all the pages and all the links. And I think with that, you have a lot of power to edit quite a bit. Some following information tutorials will be on editing the news a little bit more specifically and the locations.